There's a common myth about crime, that it thrives in the shadows, that it's chaotic, impulsive, and poorly run. But the most successful criminal empires in history didn't grow because their leaders were violent. They grew because they understood economics better than the people writing the laws. One of the clearest examples came from a man most people remember only as a gangster, Al Capone. But Capone's real advantage wasn't intimidation, it was timing. He didn't invent a product, he didn't create demand. He simply recognized what happens when a government tries to erase an industry without erasing the desire for it. And he built a business where one was never supposed to exist. When a law created a gold rush. In the early 20th century, alcohol wasn't controversial, it was ordinary. Beer with dinner, whiskey after work, wine at celebrations. Then lawmakers decided alcohol was the root of society's problems. Crime, poverty, broken families, all of it, they claimed, could be solved by banning the bottle. So they did. Factories shut down, breweries went dark, distribution networks vanished overnight. On paper, alcohol was gone. In reality, nothing had changed. People still wanted to drink, only now every legal producer was gone. And when demand stays constant while supply is erased, prices don't fall, they explode. That explosion didn't benefit citizens, it benefited whoever was willing to operate outside the law. That's when alcohol stopped being a beverage and became a financial asset. Opportunity wears many disguises. Chicago in the 1920s was growing fast, rich fast, and drinking fast. It was the perfect storm, a massive urban population, weak enforcement, and political systems already comfortable with backroom deals. For most people, prohibition was an inconvenience. For a few, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Capone didn't see liquor as a vice, he saw it as logistics. Supply routes, storage, distribution, payments, risk management. He treated alcohol the way modern companies treat energy or data, as infrastructure. Instead of random street sales, he built a system. Production fed distribution, distribution fed retail, retail fed cash flow. Bars didn't just buy alcohol, they bought reliability. And reliability, in an illegal market, commands a premium. Scarcity is the best sales strategy. Before the ban, alcohol margins were thin, competition was fierce, prices were low. After the ban, every step of the process carried risk. Risk demanded compensation. Drivers needed hazard pay, police needed bribes, politicians needed donations. Every risk became a markup. Consumers paid anyway. Because some products don't behave like normal goods, their demand doesn't disappear when prices rise. Alcohol wasn't optional, it was cultural, social, emotional. That made it priceless. Capone didn't have to advertise, the law did that for him. The invisible economy. What grew around bootlegging wasn't just crime, it was an entire parallel economy. Cash-heavy businesses became essential, restaurants, clubs, entertainment venues. Money moved through them quietly, blending illegal profits into legitimate balance sheets. Law enforcement didn't disappear, it adapted. Protection wasn't about justice, it was about rates. In cities where enforcement salaries stayed low and illegal profits soared, corruption wasn't an exception, it was a business expense. Soon, the line between government and underground blurred so completely that shutting the system down would have meant dismantling half the local economy, and that made it untouchable, for a while. Why violence wasn't the core product. The headlines focused on shootings and turf wars, but violence wasn't the engine, it was the symptom. The real foundation was financial control. Who controlled supply controlled price. Who controlled price controlled loyalty. Who controlled loyalty controlled the city. Rivals didn't fight because they loved chaos, they fought because the margins were too good to ignore. But no market built entirely on policy lasts forever. When the rules change, so does power. By the early 1930s, everything shifted. The economy collapsed, governments needed revenue. Suddenly, taxing alcohol looked more practical than banning it. Public opinion flipped, and the same laws that had created massive illegal fortunes now became political liabilities. Capone didn't fall because his business failed. He fell because the environment changed faster than he could adapt. Not through raids, not through shootouts, through accounting. The system that once ignored his money now demanded to know where it came from. Paperwork did what bullets never could. The market that vanished overnight. When alcohol became legal again, the black market advantage disappeared instantly. Legal producers returned, prices normalized, competition crushed monopolies. The premium vanished. What had once been the most profitable enterprise in the country became just another regulated industry. The law didn't defeat the market, it absorbed it. Why this story still matters? It's tempting to think this was a one-time historical mistake. It wasn't. The pattern never stopped. Whenever governments restrict supply without eliminating demand, they don't destroy markets, they reroute them. We've seen it with drugs, with digital currencies, with sanctioned resources, with housing, energy, and even data. The names change, the products change, the economics don't. Early profits always flow to those willing to operate in the gray. Later profits shift to institutions once regulation catches up. And when that happens, the wild margins disappear. The real lesson isn't a story about crime, it's a story about incentives. Policy shapes markets, scarcity creates leverage, and every legal boundary creates an edge for someone. The winners aren't always the boldest or the strongest, they're the ones who understand how rules reshape supply chains. Capone didn't succeed because he was fearless. He succeeded because he recognized a structural imbalance before everyone else did. And he failed for the same reason many fortunes do, because no policy-driven advantage lasts forever. Final thought. History doesn't warn you with alarms, it leaves patterns. Ignore them, and you'll be shocked when markets behave irrationally. Understand them, and you'll see opportunity or danger years before it becomes obvious. Prohibition ended. That empire collapsed. But the cycle? It's still running, and it always will.